Welcome everyone to the 9 Principles of Spiritual Recovery channel. I'm Ken. If you've been watching this channel at all, you kind of understand we've been talking about stress quite a bit lately, and for good reason. And if you've been watching these, you know the reason. Yeah, this is a picture of myself and my younger daughter back around 1989, and not too stressed out, I don't think. Nah. So what is stress? As we've said before, stress is the response an organism has to external pressures and demands on it, or what we could say is a reaction a living thing has to some outside influence. And stress can be presented to us in the form of pain, strain, suffering, disease, general unhappiness. Now, according to the American Institute of Stress, stress can cause a whole host of problems. There's a few. And if you look, you kind of see a pattern there, and that would be that most of these things fall into one of the 6 dimensions of wellness. That would be the physical, mental, emotional, occupational, social, spiritual aspects of health. And if you've ever been extremely stressed, you've probably experienced some of these. And there are some old favorites in there. Anxiety, depression, and anger, sleep problems, suicidal thoughts, increased smoking, alcohol, or drug use, excessive gambling, weight gain or loss, feeling hopeless or helpless. Let's see, in relationship problems. The usual. So what are stressors? Well, stressors are those things that cause stress. These we've generally classified as problems, pressures, demands, threats, and traumas. So this video is the last in the stressors to behavior cycle phase videos. This is phases 7, 8, and 9, which is values, will or intentions, and behaviors. Yay. So for us at this channel, when we talk about recovery, we're talking about getting back our ability to change and grow and cope with our life stressors, those things that cause us stress. And our mission here at the channel is to help anyone suffering from life stressors to learn how to develop and implement a plan for change and growth in recovery in order to build spiritual practices to cope with stressors and make life easier and happier. And that's pretty much it. Help people cope with stressors, make life easier and happier. And we start with ourselves. And our approach here, pretty simply, take the 6 dimensions of wellness as a framework for assessing and analyzing stressors. Add that to the stressors to behavior cycle, which is where we take a stressor and we run it through this 9 phases and try to figure out an approach to resolving those stressors that we've identified. And then we use that within the framework of the 9 principles of spiritual recovery. We'll use all 3 of these together to build spiritual practices, and those are kind of coping skills that we'll develop to help us resolve our stressors. And there's 3 parts of our process, and again, for assessing stressors, developing an intentional plan for change and growth and recovery, for coping with stressors through the building, practical, and ethical use and maintenance of spiritual practices. So the first of those 3 aspects of our approach, 6 dimensions of wellness, quickly, these are 6 aspects of overall health that can be used to identify and categorize by wellness area. One's stressors, those things that cause stress, as part of developing and implementing that plan for change and growth and recovery through the development of spiritual practices. Next, we have the stressors to behavior cycle, and again, this is that cycle of 9 phases we can use to identify and categorize stressors, and then to analyze the feelings, thoughts, desires, attitudes, beliefs, values, will, or intentions. I would just change that one to intentions. I do that all the time. And behaviors as part of developing and implementing that plan for change and growth and recovery. And last but not least, 9 principles of spiritual recovery. This is a set of 9 spiritual practices that can be developed to implement that plan for change and growth. So the stressors to behavior cycle, again, you go counterclockwise. We have these 9 phases. We've already talked about the first 6. And again, we start the cycle at the maroon triangle at the top between behaviors and stressors. That's our beginning point. And at each one of these spots between phases, you have an intervention point. And that's a place where we can stop our process, take a look at it, see what's working, what might not be working, what needs to be adjusted, and then proceed from there. Again, these 9 phases: stressors, feelings, thoughts, desire, attitudes, beliefs, values, will, and behaviors. And we'll be talking about the last 3, values, which are strongly held beliefs about life and how to live it. Another way of looking at that is morals or philosophy. Will is our intention and thoughtful planning about what we want to do in the situation. And then behaviors, things that we do, the actions and deeds. So the last 3 phases in the stressors to behavior cycle are values, will, and behaviors. And phase 7 is values. And again, these are deeply held beliefs, strongly held beliefs, kind of core values. You hear that phrase a lot. That's what we believe at our core, at our center. You might call these things morals, and it's a philosophy of living, how we treat other people, how we relate to the world around us, what's important, and what's healthy and appropriate. So again, this little framework we've been using in the last couple of videos to kind of organize our information here. Values, again, strongly held beliefs about how to live life, what is appropriate in the situation, and morals. And that's a general description. A more specific description might be something like, I'm responsible for my own medical care advocacy. If I want to know what's going on, I better be prepared to do some background work, some research, whatever I can do. And there's a blank form for you to use. Phase 8 is will or intention. And this is deliberate, purposeful, and thoughtful. This is about our planning for achieving a goal or an outcome in a situation. We kind of subtitle this one intentional self-talk. And this is where we have a kind of running dialogue with ourselves about what we will do in a situation to affect the outcome we want. And that framework again, general description, a more specific description. I will research my symptoms to try to narrow down a diagnosis on my own. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I can do a search on WebMD or Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic. There's a bunch out there. And, not everybody that looks up something on the web is a hypochondriac, folks. So kind of bear with it. And a blank form for you to use. And the last phase, yay, are behaviors. And these are actions or deeds that come from that willful, will-based, thoughtful plan. And these actions or deeds, these things we do, either resolve stressors or reinforce them. They either help us cope with them or not. So again, our little framework chart. You have the general description. And then a more specific description, an example would be, I'm going to figure out what's causing my mobility problems. So that would involve research, talking to primary care physician, getting labs done, all of those things. And a blank for you to use. So as we wrap this one up, similar discussion to the other two videos. So what values, will, or intentions and behaviors have you had over the past year or two that have caused you to make choices and take actions that were unhealthy and made your life more stressful? Why were they stress producing instead of stress relieving? And similar question, only we're talking about the entirety of your lifetime. Same thing. Will, your values, will, behaviors you've had over the course of your lifetime have caused you to make choices and take actions that were unhealthy, made your life more stressful, and why were they stress producing instead of stress relieving? If we can figure out why the approaches we've taken haven't been successful, that's very, very helpful. You know what mistakes not to make in the future. This is a photo taken by my older daughter. Nice spot. So thank you all for watching this video through to the end. As always, if you found something of interest or value or something made you chuckle, please consider hitting the like button, subscribe to the channel, sign up for notifications, share this video with like-minded folks, and leave a comment in the comments section. And as usual, till next time, take care, folks. Thanks again.